Kinji Ninomiya has a strong determination to achieve wealth as a NEET, and he accomplishes this by investing in a real estate empire, thereby becoming rich without the need to work. Suddenly, he finds himself transported to the world of Amuriya, where demi-humans reside. In this world, the era of heroes has come to an end, and the dungeons they once explored are now being exploited by modern corporations for the valuable ore called demonite. Kinji is compelled to work as a miner, but this leads to him accumulating significant debts. During his time as a miner, he befriends Wanaibe, a demi-human with the form of a crocodile, and Kinji willingly volunteers to explore deeper into the dungeon where the monsters are more dangerous, but demonite is abundant. He confides in Wanaibe about a secret entrance he discovered on the 3rd level. Their expedition is interrupted by an encounter with Rim, a dragon girl who attacks them. However, Kinji strikes a deal with her, promising to provide tastier food if she protects them while they dig. Together, they start making substantial profits. Despite their success, Kinji becomes disheartened as his money primarily goes towards feeding Rim, causing his debts to increase rather than decrease. Nonetheless, Kinji stumbles upon a magician's staff that was left behind by a deceased hero and employs it to hypnotize other miners into working for him. Eventually, the staff breaks, the miners awaken, and Kinji faces severe consequences for his actions. With no money left to feed Rim, she threatens to eat Kinji. Kinji and Wanaibe find themselves transferred to a perilous exploration team. Unfortunately, Wanaibe gets injured, compelling Kinji to shoulder both his own workload and Wanaibe's, resulting in a reduction in his pay. Consequently, Kinji is left without any money, and he still has to provide food for Rim. A swarm of monstrous ants invades the mine, and in order to survive, Kinji resorts to using a transformation potion that turns him, an elite warrior and an equipment manager, into ants. However, their predicament worsens when the boss seals off the mine, trapping them inside. While in their ant form, Kinji realizes he can comprehend the ants' language and introduces the idea of workers' rights to them. He establishes a union among the worker ants to demand fair treatment from the Ant Queen. It is revealed that the Ant Queen decided to expand her colony into the mine after Rim vanished and stopped preying on her workers. Kinji confronts the Queen, presenting the workers' demands, but she opts to kill them and replace them instead. Suddenly, Rim appears, driven by hunger, and Kinji offers her his dinner. The Queen is impressed by Kinji's ability to control Rim, who has been a threat to her colony for years. Wanaibe returns to work, and Kinji unveils his plan to take over the Reza Ha Mining Corporation and establish his own Dungeon Black Company with the help of Rim, the Ant Queen, and her colony. Shia, a contemporary hero employed by the Reza Ha Corporation, discovers a Philosopher's Stone in a dungeon and receives an invitation to join Exploration Group 3. Kinji and Wanaibe find themselves on an island that houses a corporate training center, where they are subjected to harsh physical exercises, psychological mistreatment, and magical brainwashing aimed at fostering loyalty to Reza Ha. Kinji manages to snap Wanaibe out of the brainwashing and reveals that he was aware of the brainwashing from the beginning. He used mind-altering plants to resist it and devised a plan for revenge. By drugging the brainwashing sorcerers with the mind-altering plants, they trigger fire spells that cause the island, training center, and all the instructors to explode. Believing that they have been successfully brainwashed, the corporation sends Kinji and Wanaibe to Group 3, where Shia becomes their supervisor. Kinji attempts to highlight the exploitation carried out by Reza Ha, but Shia, who is fiercely loyal, forces him to accompany her into the dungeon to battle monsters. When Shia tries to kill Ante, Kinji's cherished ant, he summons Rim to protect him. With Shia captured, Kinji compels her to pose for incriminating photographs that depict her as being acquainted with Rim and the Ant Queen. Leveraging these photographs, Kinji blackmails Shia into covertly working for his Dungeon Black Company. Kinji receives the daunting task of repaying a debt of 5 million gold within a month. Shia enlightens Kinji about the value of monster parts, sparking an idea in his mind. Belza, the director of Razaka, discloses the upcoming Death March, during which both demonite and monsters experience regeneration, leading to immense profitability. Kinji devises a plan and constructs a farm to collect monster parts, without causing harm, allowing him to successfully repay the 5 million gold. Furthermore, Belza reveals that the resurrection of Imagine is part of the Death March, but it necessitates the sacrifice of a hero like Shia. When Imagine attacks Shia, Kinji intervenes by hurling a magic crystal at Majin, causing it to be teleported to the surface and wreak havoc on the mine. As Majin tunnels back into the dungeon, Kinji directs the ants to set traps. Despite the danger, Shia insists on joining the fight, prompting Kinji to admonish her for risking her life in an attempt to outshine her father, the king of failed adventures. Realizing the truth in Kinji's words and understanding that she doesn't need to surpass her father, Shia decides to live for herself and ultimately slays Majin, albeit breaking her own sword in the process. Majin, however, revives and attempts to devour Kinji, but Rim senses the danger, comes to Kinji's rescue, and devours Majin instead. Rim reveals that there was something unnatural about Majin's resurrection. At that moment, a familiar teleportation circle, recognized by Kinji as the one that summoned him from Japan, materializes, causing both him and Rim to plummet into it. Upon awakening, Kinji encounters Ranga, male priestess who cross-dresses, and Zizzle, the zealous leader of an underground human village, situated within a city constructed by the advanced Kalanayan civilization thousands of years ago. Zizzle discloses that 300 years ago, an evil corporation seized control of the world and coerces Kinji into defeating them. Kinji realizes that he is actually in Amuria, but 300 years in the future, and the nefarious corporation is none other than Reizeka. As they arrive at a castle, Kinji discovers that it belongs to General Ant, the deputy of Demon Lord Belza, who turns out to be none other than his friend. Anta Anta has evolved into a formidable monster, and is thrilled to reunite with Kinji. Surprisingly, General Ant treats humans fairly, demanding only a 40-hour workweek while offering holidays and health insurance. However, the issue lies with the humans of the future who exhibit unreasonable laziness and consider 40 hours of work to be excessive. Belza has long ceased to oversee the corporation, and General Ant is at a loss about what to do. Determined to assist, Kinji assumes the role of General Ninomiya, implementing disciplinary measures for lazy workers and rewarding those who work diligently. Through his leadership, the company becomes profitable once again. Additionally, Kinji takes control of the underground city, displacing Sizzle as the leader and compelling the citizens to return to work. Generals Rujine, Power Ash, and Zex Haller perceive Kinji as a threat. Power employs a trick to lure Kinji into a worm monster ambush, but Rim emerges victorious, defeating the worms. Ru assigns Kinji the responsibility of transforming challenging wastelands into arable farms, yet Kinji manages to effortlessly accomplish this task by employing the worms for cultivating the land. Zex discovers a secret about Ranga and endeavors to blackmail her. However, he becomes consumed by desire, despite learning that Ranga is biologically male. The three generals then conspire to assign Kinji an exceedingly difficult mission. Ranga regains consciousness in a rendition of Alice in Wonderland, where white rabbits are enslaved under the Queen's rule while jobless moles inhabit internet cafes. Queen Belza makes an appearance and unveils Ranga's secret, which is that she is a descendant of Belza herself. The Queen offers Ranga the opportunity to live a carefree life with her. A Kinji impersonating a white rabbit attempts to persuade Ranga into accepting the proposition, but the real Kinji arrives and awakens Ranga with a headbutt. It is revealed that the generals had dispatched them on a mission to vanquish a robot that had hypnotized Ranga. However, Rim has already destroyed the robot. Kinji reassures Ranga that it is commendable for her to have her own aspirations, distinct from Belza's influence. Having successfully defeated the robot, Kinji receives an invitation to meet the Demon Lord, who surprises him by requesting his aid in saving the world. Rim's twin sister, the resurrected Majin, is known as the Demon Lord. She provides an explanation that the Kalanayan civilization had created dungeons and guardians like Rim to regulate the distribution of magic across the planet. However, when Rim met Kinji and left her dungeon, Reizeka took advantage of this opportunity to excavate all the way to the bottom and utilize the advanced technology of the hidden Kalanayan city to conquer the world. Reizeka was temporarily defeated by Majin, who then became the Demon Lord. Nevertheless, Reizeka has returned, transforming their corporate slaves into robots with the intention of defeating Majin and transforming the planet into a dystopian wasteland devoid of organic life. Hence, she presents Kinji with a choice: either return to Japan or travel back in time to prevent Reizeka's actions in the past. Kinji decides to go back in time and, as an employee of Reizeka, Belza imposes a hefty fine of 10 million gold for Kinji's month-long absence. This compels Kinji, Rim, Ranga, and Wanaibe to move into Shia's apartment, where Kinji explains his plan to reach the depths of the dungeon and reach the Kalanayan city before Belza does. His objective is to seize their technology and be the first to conquer the world, rather than allowing Belza to achieve that. Kinji becomes aware that the dungeon has become significantly more perilous. In response, Shia decides to subject him to rigorous training. During this intense training, Kinji discovers that living beings can absorb natural mana and convert it into magic, which enhances their physical abilities. However, as he hails from a world devoid of mana, he is unable to perform this feat. While observing Ranga playing with a broken gun he brought from the future, Kinji witnesses an interesting incident. When Rim attempts to devour the gun, it absorbs her mana and demands a password for activation. In a playful manner, Kinji suggests the commonly used keyboard password QWERTY, which surprisingly turns out to be correct. Realizing that he now possesses a potent weapon to compensate for his physical limitations, Kinji gathers everyone and returns to the dungeon to catch up with Belza's group of adventurers. Armed with a gun, Kinji successfully eliminates numerous monsters. However, the weapon's battery quickly depletes, compelling it to draw mana from the surroundings, including the magical fibers woven into their clothing. Consequently, everyone is left almost naked. After Shia reprimands them, Kinji contemplates discarding the gun. Nevertheless, he soon realizes that the gun possesses a possessive, stalker-like personality and threatens to self-destruct, posing a danger to everyone if he attempts to dispose of it. Thus, he is compelled to keep the gun, despite his initial intentions to get rid of it. Joined by other adventurers who were stripped of their clothing by Kinji's pistol, they form a team. In the midst of their journey, they are attacked by zombies, and Kinji mysteriously disappears, leaving only his underpants behind as a clue. Rim traces his scent and discovers a hidden room where zombies are enslaved to illegally brew potions. These zombies are kept under hypnotic control through an enchanted workplace rules poster. Ranga smashes the poster, liberating the zombies and restoring them to their normal state. Guided by Kinji's scent, they locate him engaged in tormenting an undead mage. The mage reveals that he was once a renowned figure, but his reputation was destroyed by a hero, leading to his imprisonment in the dungeon where he toiled until exhaustion claimed his life. Now, he haunts the dungeon and manipulates adventurers, compelling them to work themselves to death as a form of revenge. Kinji discloses Reizeka's concept of corporate drones, which causes the mage to pass on to the afterlife, realizing that the adventurers are already being driven to their demise. Within the dungeon, Kinji encounters Cindy, a struggling young shop manager. He strikes a deal with her: if he can attract paying customers to fill her shop, she will offer him her finest dungeon equipment at a significant discount. Capitalizing on the fact that the potions made by the zombies have no actual effects, Kinji markets them as high-powered pre-battle nutrient drinks, generating substantial profits. However, Reizeka intervenes and shuts down their operation. With confidence in Cindy's ability to sustain her business independently, Kinji and the others continue their journey to the next level. In Rim's dream, she envisions a girl adorned with horns. Meanwhile, Kinji comes to the rescue of maintenance workers who reveal that both the doors to the 5th and 3rd floors are blocked, leaving them indefinitely stranded on the 4th floor. Simultaneously, Belza's bodyguards find themselves trapped on the 5th floor, where only 2 formidable monsters guard the entrance to the 6th floor. The Ant Queen arrives, having sought refuge with her colony after enduring earthquakes. To everyone's surprise, she presents the horned girl, who is none other than Majin. The Queen clarifies that Majin was born subsequent to Rim's departure from the dungeon to assume the role of its new guardian. However, Majin's health has deteriorated, rendering the dungeon even more perilous. Rim's behavior becomes peculiar as she hunts for food to nourish Majin without consuming any herself. This triggers a violent reaction from Majin, which greatly upsets Rim. Rim confides in Kinji, expressing her feelings of guilt for having defeated Majin in the past, which ultimately weakened Majin's ability to manage the dungeon. In response, Kinji and the rest of the group restore the ecosystem of the 4th floor to its original state through activities such as forestry and animal care. Meanwhile, Rim takes care of Majin's well-being. As the 4th floor returns to normal, Majin experiences a recovery and is bestowed with the name Sky by Rim. However, a sudden turn of events unfolds when Sky falls gravely ill just as the door to the fifth floor opens. The two monsters guarding the door multiply into dozens, overwhelming Belza's bodyguards. With Kinji's intervention, he successfully rescues the bodyguards, while Rim emerges victorious in defeating the monsters. Together, they locate the sixth floor where Kinji reveals a clandestine, scouting mission he undertook with his pistol. The pistol provided him with vital information about a magical artifact that Kinji now claims for himself, granting him the authority to command all dungeons. Leading an army of monster guards from the dungeon's depths, Kinji confronts Belza, presenting enough jewels obtained from the dungeon to settle his debts, prompting Belza to resign from his position. 3 months pass and Kinji transforms the dungeon into a thriving theme park, with Renga serving as his assistant. He starts acquiring other abandoned dungeons, utilizing his newfound powers to effectively manage the magical aspects without the assistance of Rim or Majin. These dungeons are transformed into profitable mines under the governance of the Ant Queen. Meanwhile, Shia embarks on a new career path. Kinji disrupts Reizeka's profits by saturating the market with inexpensive demonite, a strategic move that diminishes the value of Reizeka's offerings. Additionally, he places Cindy in charge of a magazine-based delivery service for adventuring equipment. Thanks to Wanaibe's demonite research, the equipment provided through this service is both cheaper and of superior quality compared to anything Reizeka offers. Kinji also takes a stance against discrimination by employing demi-humans and affording them the same rights as humans. Belza, plagued by his personal demons, succumbs to alcoholism and finds himself tormented by Renga, who, being her descendant, is privy to Belza's childhood history. In an unexpected turn, Belza devises a plan for revenge against Kinji, enlisting the assistance of Shia. Kinji finds himself arrested for past crimes, manipulated by Belza, who coerces Shia into testifying against him. The narrative portrays Kinji as a potential menace to humanity, leading to his torture in an attempt to extract a confession. However, Kinji remains steadfast and resists the coercion. In a surprising turn of events, Shia visits him and tends to his wounds, realizing that she had been manipulated by Belza. The Ant Queen recalls that Kinji had written a manual specifically for such emergencies. A month later, Belza is appointed as Reizeka's director, only to be shocked when Kinji is unexpectedly released and promoted to CEO. Wanaibe unveils their strategy. Following Kinji's manual, they acquired 40% of Reizeka's stocks and convinced another 15% of shareholders to support them, thus securing majority ownership of Reizeka. As a result, Reizeka is assimilated into Kinji's company, where he assigns Belza to collaborate with Renga in an effort to improve their familial relationship. Despite his triumph, Kinji discovers a lingering unhappiness within himself. Concerned about his state of mind, Renga unveils a revelation. Kinji is originally from Japan and may be contemplating a return. Kinji confirms that he experienced greater happiness when pursuing a goal as opposed to his current state of having achieved victory. However, rather than returning to Japan, Kinji expresses his plans to expand the company's reach, taking control of dungeons in other countries and continuing until he attains global dominance.